Hiya! Welcome! So as you can see from the title of the video, today I'm gonna do part 2 of my building the Pet Shop Boys vinyl LP collection. However, that's a little bit of a misnomer, as there is 3 other things that I'll show you first. 2 singles and a CD, or rather a CD with something else. But the bulk of this is the other studio albums. One of them isn't really a studio album, but we'll get onto that later. Really, as far as the studio albums are concerned, today, with a mail opening to do at the end, all those holes are filled in my PSB vinyl collection. But let's get the non-albums out of the way first. And I've got everything, or nearly everything, still in its original mailer here, even though some of this stuff I've been holding on to for more than a week now. But it just reminds me where things have been bought from. So the first thing here is a 12-inch size mailer from Resident Records in Brighton. And this is a 12-inch single. And it's technically not a Pet Shop Boys single, because this is Claptone featuring Dizzy, Queen of Ice. But as you can see, you should be able to see if I'm holding this properly, it is the Pet Shop Boys remixes. So I think this came out for a record store day, I want to say 2023, the year of copyright on here somewhere, but it's very small and I'm not going to put my glasses on. I don't think I've heard this track, but I fancied getting this single just for the PSB collection, as I do have 1 or 2 12 inches that are relating to Pet Shop Boys anyway. I want to get this open pretty quickly because I believe it's on coloured vinyl, icy clear vinyl according to the hype. So I took a punt on this. I think this ended up being about £22–23. There are a few other places that had it, but I ordered it from Resident as I do like them. Yeah, that's really nice. So it's sort of like a marbled clear look. Very nice indeed. That's all I can say about this, because I don't think I've heard the track, but thought I'd give it a go. Claptone and Dizzy, the Pet Shop Boys mixes of Queen of Ice. Right then, I'm going to show you a 7-inch single now, but this isn't kind of a standard Pet Shop Boys 7-inch. I mean, they've released so many singles, and I did used to have a lot of the CD singles back in the day. I did end up selling them all when I sold pretty much all my CDs, apart from a certain few in the early 2000s. But this one, a lot more recent. I think this one will be from 2020, the same year Hotspot came out. And it's much like a single that I got last year with Electronic Sound magazine, where it was an exclusive for purchasers or subscribers of that mag. Because this one is actually a German release single that was an exclusive with the German magazine Music Express. The A-side is Dreamland, featuring Years and Years, which is from Hotspot, and the B-side is a live version of the medley of Always on My Mind and the Pop Kids. So I got this from a German seller on Discogs. I don't know if I mentioned that the next few were a Discogs order. We'll get it open out of this sealed up protective sleeve here, which I'll no doubt swap out for one of my own. No, I don't like this one at all. It's very sticky and not brilliant quality. So nice condition. Didn't know this existed. Oh, and it's on a kind of almost transparent bold blue there. This wasn't much, I don't think, including postage. I think it was around 20, maybe a bit more. Dreamland and the live B-side there, a German exclusive. On to the CD, but it's not just a CD, it's a book. Now this was quite expensive. This is the 2020 annually book that Pet Shop Boys release every year. It's like their annual, but it's not like a kind of kids annual, obviously. I was a member of Pet Shop Boys fan club back in the 1990s, and every, I think, quarter they'd send out a really nice little magazine that was full of articles and interviews and kind of a roundup of what they'd been doing over the past few months. And once that kind of fell by the wayside, they instead started to do that sort of thing, but in an annual form. So every year they'd release what they call annually, detailing the year gone by. And often they'd bundle in a kind of free gift with it. And there's the free gift here. This is the EP, or maybe mini album you could call it, for My Beautiful Laundrette. Now that's never come out on vinyl. Hopefully it will one day, because I will double up if that day ever comes. But My Beautiful Laundrette, it was a theatre production of what was a quite popular independent British film of the late 80s. I think that came out. I have seen it once many years ago. It was a good film. Tennant and Lowe did the music for the new theatre production. I think I will get this out of its cellophane actually, even though there won't be an awful lot to show you, because I just want to give you a brief indication of what these annuals are like. I think the only cheaper sellers on Discogs were ones who were only selling the CD without the book, and I quite fancied the book, even though I don't collect these annually books. I've been tempted to, particularly the ones that come with a bonus CD, and they don't all. There's the My Beautiful Laundrette CD. I've not heard any tracks on here yet. There's 7 tracks on, so it's like a mini album or extended EP really. Music for the original stage production. This is still sealed up, so I need to give it another slice. And yes, I do realise, any Pet Shop Boys collectors that are watching, I do realise that as soon as I remove the shrink wrap from this, the value depreciates. But if I'm getting a book, I'm going to want to read it. I won't get the CD out of its cellophane, because you know what CD looks like. That's the 2020 annual. It's going to have a lot of nice pictures in it, loads of stuff to read. Showing you a few pages at random here. It is mostly text, to be fair, which is good. As much as I like seeing high quality photos, it's the reading material that I'm most interested in. And it's got a lovely new book smell. Yep, excited to read that, and certainly excited to listen to My Beautiful Laundrette. Okay, so that was the non-vinyl albums. So let's get on to the actual LPs now, the stuff that I was mainly starting this collection for. This one is another Discogs purchase. Did I say the price of the annually and My Beautiful Laundrette? Like I say, it was quite expensive, but they all are on the aftermarket now. I think it was getting on for around £50. Speaking of which, I think this one was exactly £50, or maybe with the exchange rate and the taxes, it came to a little bit over. But this was from Poland. And this, for me, is one of the more exciting items to show you, because it's quite an unusual thing, this. And it is the Closer to Heaven soundtrack. Now, this was released by an Estonian record label for some reason. I don't know why Parlophone or Times 2 had nothing to do with this vinyl issue. It's official, it's not a bootleg or anything, it's legitimate, but for some reason it was this Estonian little indie label, Machina Records, who handled the release for this. And it's a 2 LP set. I believe LP2 is actually single-sided, and I don't think there's an etching on it, and it is on red vinyl. I'm not going to get this open actually, because I can see it's one of those self-adhesive outer sleeves again, and I don't really want to be faffing around too much. But Closer to Heaven was the musical written by Jonathan Harvey. Pet Shop Boys did the music. It's not technically a Pet Shop Boys album, because there's the original stage cast singing on it, but it's them playing on it, producing it. I've got this on CD, nice to double up. You're not going to find it really cheaper than what I paid for it. I looked on Machina's Bandcamp page, and for some reason they were more expensive buying from them direct than it was getting it from this Polish seller. So I went with the Polish seller and saved myself about £10, I think. But I was happy to do that, especially as it was advertised as new and sealed anyway. So that is music from the musical Closer to Heaven on red vinyl. Almost all the rest now are technically studio albums, apart from one we'll get onto in a little bit. But the next bundle is order of 3 from Vinyl Tap in Huddersfield. It's a mailer, but this was like an inner mailer. As you tend to get with Vinyl Tap, they send you a list of stuff that they think you might want for your collection. So that's all the Pet Shop Boys stuff they had in stock, at least at the time of me ordering these 3 albums. First one is literally the first one, a reissue of the debut album Please, with its very minimal sleeve there. Nothing really to say about this other than it was the first LP. Pet Shop Boys off to the races once this came out. It's got stuff like West End Girls, Suburbia, Opportunities on it. 2 Divided by Zero is a track I've always loved. The prices for these, they're all pretty reasonable, as Vinyl Tap tend to be. All brand new and sealed as well. I think these 3 varied kind of between around the 17 to 20 mark. So all in all, the order was less than 60, I think, including postage. So I don't think that's too bad at all, as I'm trying not to spend obscene amounts of money on these sort of vanilla studio albums. Vanilla as in the way they're made and packaged, not the music, obviously. So that's Please. And then also, there's the reissue, the remastered reissue of Release. This has Home and Dry on it, and one of my favourite Pet Shop Boys singles. This would have come out in 2002 originally. As you know, I am fine with collecting reissues. The original vinyl pressings for some of these are quite obscene on the aftermarket, but I'm happy to get the remasters that are a lot cheaper, and the majority tend to be under £25. Certainly these 3 were all at or under £20. And then finally from Vinyl Tap is Elysium. This is another one of their albums. I've not heard it often enough really to kind of decide whether I think it's that brilliant or not. I know the lead single on here, or one of the singles, Winner, is an absolute brilliant song. I think it's possibly one of Pet Shop Boys' top 3 best ever singles, but it did nothing in the chart. And it was a shame because it came out around the time of the London Olympics 2012. And I think the BBC used it in their coverage, and you would have thought that might have helped its chart positioning, but no. Yeah, I only heard this once, I think, because I've got the Further Listening CD, maybe twice, but many years ago. But Winner is a phenomenal single, and hopefully this album will grow on me when I listen to it again on vinyl. Oh, and this was the last album they released on Parlophone before they temporarily switched to their own vanity label ×2. As we know, they're back on Parlophone now. Okay, next one is an order of just 1 album from eBay. Now, I'm a bit annoyed at myself, not for buying this, because I wanted it. It's not really a studio album, this, but it would have felt like a hole in the collection had I not picked it up. The thing is, I got this on CD when it was reissued back in 2023, and I didn't get the vinyl at the time because I wasn't collecting PSB on vinyl, not their albums, and the majority of their singles I wasn't either. It would have been £30 originally, this was £50, and that was actually one of the cheaper options for this. I can't remember if this is new and sealed or not, but we'll soon find out. And it is Relentless. So Relentless was originally a bonus disc, a bonus CD, and I think it had a limited vinyl issue back in 1993 with the Very studio album. Just 6 tracks on it. It's classed as a mini album. It got a reissue on CD and yellow vinyl, I think this is, in 2023. I only picked up the CD, obviously with the benefit of hindsight. I wish I'd picked up the vinyl then because it was £30, and now you can't get it at the Pet Shop Boys store or anywhere else. You have to go on Discogs or eBay and pay a premium. So yeah, not the best value thing here today, but I would have felt antsy not getting it eventually. So I just thought, in for a penny, in for a pound. I'll quickly get this open. As unlike the Closer to Heaven one, this shouldn't take too long, just to give you quick butchers at the vinyl. Pretty good. It's just sort of more kind of instrumental stuff really that didn't fit on the album and didn't even fit on any of the singles B-sides around the Very era. But lovely kind of sun yellow vinyl there. feels like 180 gram, or at least 140 gram to me. Really pleased to have Relentless. Alright, finally I can show you the remaining 4 studio albums that I needed to complete the Pet Shop Boys vinyl album collection. These came today, all from iMusic in Denmark. 2 of these were £20.49 and the other 2 were about £24.99 or £25.99, which was more than really what I wanted to pay, but I couldn't find them anywhere cheaper than at least £30 everywhere else. And they are just the standard vanilla remasters as well, so why certain ones are more expensive than others, I'm not sure. Got a little shop style receipt there from iMusic, and I'm delighted that I finally got a copy of Actually, the second album, on vinyl. My favourite Pet Shop Boys album of all time. Very is kind of a close second, but this one, when I did my PSB ranking, came out on top because it was this album that got me into Pet Shop Boys. My mum had it on cassette back in 1987 when it came out. She played it all the time, so I was really exposed to PSB. And it's just a wonderful album, this. What Have I Done to Deserve This with Dusty? It Couldn't Happen Here, Beautiful, It's a Sin, Heart, King's Cross, another beautiful song, One More Chance. It's just absolute class from start to finish, actually. And this was one of the 2 in this bundle that was just over £20, so rather good value. Then also we have the remaster of my second favourite Pet Shop Boys album, the aforementioned Very, released in 1993. I had to think then for a minute. Plenty of brilliant singles on here: Can You Forgive Her, Go West, Liberation, other wonderful tracks on it like A Different Point of View, One in a Million. Yeah, a real kind of uplifting, very campy Euro dance kind of album for Pet Shop Boys, this. It remains one of my favourites. Well, it's my second, and a very close second favourite after Actually. Lovely stuff there. I believe this one also was about £20.49. So the last 2 are the 2 that were about 25 or 26. This one is Bilingual from 1996, this will be. Follow-up to Very. I remember having the original CD of this many years ago. I've got the Further Listening CD. I've got all the Further Listening editions, which are brilliant, by the way. If you're a CD collector and you're into Pet Shop Boys, I do highly, highly recommend the Further Listening editions because they've got B-sides, demos, all sorts of goodies on them. But the standard album on vinyl here, remastered and reissued. A Red Letter Day is on here, which remains my very favourite Pet Shop Boys single. It was one that famously entered the chart at about number 9, and then it dropped right out of the top 40 the following week. Because I was like, where the hell is A Red Letter Day in this top 40 listing that I saw? And then I looked in Music Week, or whatever the magazine was that prints the full top 100, and saw that it dropped to something like 41 or 42, which was criminal really, because it's their best single. The album version is very, very good, but the Motivate remixed single version is the standout for me in their entire singles catalogue. Glad to have that. And finally, I'm ending here with my least favourite Pet Shop Boys album, but admittedly it's one that I've not listened to in a little while. I used to have this on mini disc, but I did sell the mini disc many years ago for a pretty good profit as well, if memory serves. And it is the follow-up to Bilingual, actually, Nightlife. So this one would have been around 25, same as Bilingual. Remaster from 2017 or 2018. Even though it's technically one of my, if not my least favourite PSB albums, it does have some great stuff on it, such as You Only Tell Me You Love Me When You're Drunk, In Denial, which they had written for Kylie. Also, it's got New York City Boy on it, which I can't stand, I really can't. Didn't even enjoy it that much when they played it at Nottingham on their Dreamworld tour last year. But I'll be listening to it again. This also came out just before Closer to Heaven originally, so I think there's a bit of overlap with 1 or 2 tracks that also feature on Closer to Heaven, albeit it's not Neil Tennant singing on those. It'll be the Closer to Heaven cast members. But that is Nightlife, and that is the Pet Shop Boys vinyl LP collection, or studio album collection anyway, complete. Now there is still other things. There's hits compilations that I'm not in any rush for. I've got them all on CD. There's the Disco series that amazingly, and I was surprised when I was doing my research, hasn't actually been reissued at all on vinyl. And I think maybe the last one or two in the Disco series might have even come out on vinyl, but I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me. Got everything on CD, have done for a very long time. I just wanted the studio albums first and foremost on vinyl, then other bits like Closer to Heaven and Relentless, and then of course you saw more as a punt than anything, I got the Claptone PSB remixes single, and also when I found that unusual German magazine single, I thought, yeah, I want that, I can't really ignore that either. So there we go. I think that's probably going to be the final part of the Pet Shop Boys series because of what I've just said really about other things not really having much availability, at least in the form that I want them. But thank you for watching this, hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think to all these Pet Shop Boys albums. What are your favourites? Which ones don't you like? Was it worth taking a punt on the Claptone single? I'll find out soon enough when I listen to it, certainly whether it's decent, but Pet Shop Boys remixes generally tend to be good. A case in point being their brilliant remixes of Mind Tile by my lads in Rammstein. But special thanks go to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. I'm going to go now, start listening to the rest of this PSB booty on vinyl, and I do hope that all of you will join me again next time for my next music and record collecting video. Cheers everyone. See ya!